If there is no red flag in this man's life, how do you stop this? How do you suspect that he could even entertain the possibility of bringing a rifle into a gun where he worked?
Bill, it's so random. Again, you come out of Resurrection Sunday and everybody was going to work and had no sense, based on what we have understood at this point, that this was going to occur. And, you know, there will be a time for conversation about policy and all those things, but it doesn't seem like there was any hint that this would have likely occurred.
It's the same thing over and over again. After the shooting in Louisville, Kentucky at that bank, their Kentucky Attorney General, Daniel Cameron, is talking about what we always hear us talking about. This isn't the time. I mean, you know, it's just devastating, horrible what's going on. Let's let him continue and see if he has any answers outside of nothing.
Is there anything you would have done to change any of the laws that led to this young man having the gun and using it yesterday morning?
Well, I don't think there was anything that was an indication that this was going to occur. I don't think there was any law that could have changed. But again, you know, at this moment, I know there are a lot of folks that are hurting, and what we need to focus on right now is just those that are in the hospital, those families that have lost loved ones, and support our brave men and women of the law enforcement community that ran towards the danger, ran towards the fire, to make sure that there wasn't more that were harmed during this situation.
Let's honor our first responders. Let's honor the paramedics and the coroners that had to come in and clean up people's bodies. Let's honor the police that had to run into the fire, as he said, was going on. That's what we should be talking about. You can talk about that, and I would welcome you to talk about it. Can we also talk about the fact that this just happened yet again? And then last week when it happened, these 5 folks that are now dead were alive. Can we talk about that at the same time? I'm not sure. He's only the Attorney General. Maybe he can have more than one thought going on at the same time. But he isn't paid to have more than one thought going on specifically about this. So what are we doing about it? Absolutely nothing, of course. And this same narrative that continues to get pushed around is probably because who could have seen this coming? The reason why I guess we couldn't have seen this coming is because this is this natural red-blooded American. He was a basketball player. As a matter of fact, there was a bit of a profile on him, and it included a little bit of this. Let's look at this tweet here from Pocket City. They were talking about how this murderous mass murderer from yesterday, Connor Sturgeon, was a basketball player. Amazing. Just a regular guy. He also worked at that same bank that he decided to walk into early in the morning on Monday and shoot it up. Here's a bit from his profile, a bit his LinkedIn profile, and how he's done all these accomplishments from down in Louisville. He went to college. Now he's a banker. Crazy. Went to University of Alabama. Just a regular kid, maybe a frat boy. Who knows? In fact, a friend of his gave us some information about him. On Monday, this former friend and teammate of him from Floyd Central High School in Floyd Knob, Indiana, told the Daily Beast that Sturgeon was smart and popular during his school days. The friend said that Sturgeon had worn a helmet during basketball games after suffering multiple concussions, though. After graduating in 2016, he went to Alabama to chase that SEC frat life. Again, that's what the friend said. He graduated in 2020 and moved on to his professional career. So now that we're focused on all these things about how normal he was, I think that we're getting closer. Every time we're getting a little bit closer. So last mass shooter was a trans person, right? And then the one before that was probably like some white supremacists. And the guy before that was maybe a black dude. And the guy before that was like a gay Latino guy. And the guy before that was another Nazi. And another guy before that was then a white supremacist as well. It kind of mixes a little bit with everyone. And the one common thing they all had was that they were carrying these huge guns, blowing people's body parts all off. Really weird how that's the constant thing. And now that we can't figure out where this normal guy could possibly come from, let's just go back to saying, I guess we can't do anything about it. It's a circular, constant conversation that we'll continue to have. Well, next week, people who are breathing and living their lives and being loved by their families right now will be effing dead. And you know what we'll say then? Oh, we can't talk about it right now because we should actually congratulate the law enforcement for coming in and congratulate the paramedics for coming in the coroner for picking up bodies. We should do that instead because people breathing right now, potentially watching all this coverage and going, wow, this is horrific. It sucks when I'm going to be dead next week too. Who knows when that's going to happen or who knows where it's going to happen, but it just might happen. It's for the price of freedom for some reason. By the way, this whole profile was, I'm going to stop yelling. This whole profile that they had on him from the Daily Beast, I assume they were doing it to let people know just how random this could be, just how maybe even scary this could be, that someone who was this basketball star who, as friends said, he wore this helmet, so maybe he had some concussion issues, that maybe had him in these types of mental states where he could pull off something like this because it was completely unexpected. As we keep talking about this, what it also does is it ignores how horrific this looked and also how it was, and how then again, it's just random, and who knows how you can stop this. Who knows?
Yeah, I just love the dodge to try to bring up this fake standard of, well, we can't predict it. It's completely unpredictable, and so why would we even try to do anything? This is unpredictable. This is just irregular. It just pretends as if we can't come up with solves for gun violence. And again, people need to be reminded, while America is by far the most violent of all of the richer, more wealthy countries in the world, there are places that exist that have legislated the hell out of guns and gun deaths. And so they don't see as many homicides as we do. They certainly don't see these crazy events that are mass shootings. And again, and I would encourage people to understand too, most of the shootings that occur in this country, we don't even talk about. It's just normal. People get into these mundane arguments, whether it be road rage, lovers' quarrels. Sometimes it could be as simple as a freaking gambling debt that isn't even that much money. And people get into arguments and folks die every single day. It doesn't even have to be this extraordinary thing where some guy shoots up a church or some guy shoots up a concert or some guy shoots up something else. This stuff is everywhere. You don't even have to be scared of just like a mass shooting. Somebody might just shoot you for no reason, period. That's how prevalent this stuff is. And this idea that, oh, there's just nothing we can do about it is absurd.
It has to be, I guess, more than 3 people before we talk about it, which, by the way, there's plenty when it's more than 3 people. I watched this random thing that popped up on my IG the other day where folks were getting interviewed down in New Orleans about the violence problem, specifically gun violence. And there was a local news station talking to these guys. And one who was upset at some of the folks that were talking on camera started ranting and raving, and a whole fight broke out there on their cameras. And the one guy who won the fight pulls a pistol out of the other guy's waistband because this could get deadly. And one mother strolled out and said, this is where the killing starts. And she was trying to get them to stop. She lost 4 sons to gun violence. Have we heard about her? And we talk about the pain that people go through constantly. But when those, as you mentioned, I'm glad you brought up this way. In those cases, that's just regular. Once it gets to 3 or 4 people, then we can talk about how much we don't actually give a damn still there as well. I want to wrap this story up with this Fox contributor, and is a former homicide detective. His name is Ted Williams. He had a little bit of a different take than the AG out there in Kentucky.
You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Just 2 weeks ago, I stood in front of a camera where you had some kids, some babies, shot in Nashville, Tennessee, with a person who, by the way, had an AR-15. And from what we've been told here, Neil, this individual had that same kind of a weapon. I am sick and tired of standing in front of a camera. Neil, 4 people left home this morning, and 4 people are not coming home tonight. That is something that we need to take into consideration. And when the governor says we shouldn't talk about certain things now, well, then I have to disagree with the government. We have to talk about guns. AR-15 are killing our babies and our citizens in this country, and we've got to do something about it.
Well, there's the anger, there's the energy, there's the passion behind it. And if anybody listens, maybe we can actually start doing something about it. Some of those things would have to go, of course, go through our lawmakers who have openly told us they don't care.